Hello everyone, and welcome to your first session of reviewing the SCP files. Now, since it's all your first day here, I figured we'd start off with something small. That way, you get a good introduction into the files. It's nothing so mind-numbingly hard that you won't understand it. Now, I will have a separate session where you all get to learn a more in-depth view of the SCP in all of their glory. But for now, I figured we'd start off with something small and simple, so you all get a good introduction to this. Now, without further ado, the item in question today is known as SCP-098, otherwise known as the Surgeon Crabs. Discovery log for SCP-098, as taken from a personnel member who was sent out to investigate the disappearances of children. Hotel 6, we found one of the missing children, a young girl. She's heavily decomposed, but is covered with what looks like incision marks. Furthermore, the eyes, ears, lips, nose, tongue, mouth, and genitalia, as well as several patches of skin, have been removed. The culprit appears to be hostile crustaceans, which are nesting in a series of rock pools nearby. They are currently being contained. Several bones, likely belonging to other missing children, have also been uncovered. We are going to need a recovery team for these remains and a cover story for the disappearances. End log. SCP-098. Object class: safe. Special containment procedures. Members of SCP-098 are to be kept in a 10-meter by 20-meter room with small pools of water and sandy substrate. Rocks and driftwood are to be left in random arrangement for SCP-098 to nest in. The enclosure is to be cleaned on a weekly basis. During this time, all members of SCP-098 are to be accounted for, first, to prevent injury or death to personnel or SCP-098. Any members of SCP-098 that appear ill or injured are to be removed and examined. Description: SCP-098 is a species of previously unknown crustacean. They resemble crabs, but rather than chela, the front limbs terminate in knife-like structures that incorporate sicilla to form an extremely sharp edge. Specimens reach larger size than normal for land-dwelling arthropods at 40 centimeters tall and as large as 60 centimeters across. Specimens of SCP-098 prefer an environment with ready concealment in shallow pools of water. They are able to breathe both water and air, splitting their time between the two environments. They are also capable of vocalizations using a larynx-like structure attached to primitive lungs. SCP-098 demonstrates pack hunting behavior when attacking prey. When specimens detect a prey animal, they will attempt to surround it. They will mimic the sounds made by the creature, apparently to confuse it, or to draw it into position. When ready, one specimen will approach the prey animal. When its attention is fixed on the first specimen, others will move behind the prey and attempt to cut the tendons of the legs or other limbs. They will continue to mimic the sounds of the prey animal, which makes it distorted. After making a cut, a specimen of SCP-098 will spit a viscous mucus over the wound. The substance hardens rapidly, preventing blood loss or infection. This continues until the prey animal is completely immobilized. At this point, specimens will begin to feed on the prey animal by cutting off small pieces of flesh. This begins with soft, readily accessible tissues, such as those of the face and extremities, before moving on to other parts of the body. Specimens of SCP-098 will only feed so long as the prey animals is capable of respiration. Feeding can last several hours or several days depending on the size of the prey animal and the number of specimens present. Specimens of SCP-098 show some ability to communicate, alerting each other to the presence of threats or potential food over short distances. It was initially thought that SCP-098 might display human-level intelligence, but are now believed to merely parrot human speech. SCP-098 normally possesses little threat to adult humans, preferring smaller prey such as dogs, cats, and small pigs. However, they have attacked larger prey when a significant number of specimens were present, or else other food was unavailable. SCP-098 was discovered in Redacted, Brazil, after a rash of child disappearances. Addendum 098-1. SCP-098 is more intelligent than previously thought. They adapt quickly to changes in their environment and have shown an ability to remember patterns such as feeding and cleaning times, and habitual movements of personnel entering their enclosure. Cleaning personnel must ensure that they regularly vary their routines through the enclosure to prevent incidents. Dr. Mann has taught several of them simple tricks, and they seem to understand the meaning of several commands. Testing will continue. Well, that concludes the first SCP file. Now, there are many more of these, so be sure not to miss a single session, or you're gonna fall behind. Well, now that that's done, goodbye, and you are all dismissed. Hey guys, Children of the Night here, and I just wanted to say thank you for listening to today's story, whether it be on YouTube or on the podcast. The YouTube channel can be found at youtube.com/childrenofthenight, or link in the description. And the podcast can be found basically anywhere you can find podcasts, such as Spotify, Google, Anchor, like I said, pretty much everywhere. If you are interested in supporting me more than you already are by watching either the podcast or on the YouTube channel, be sure to check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/childrenofthenight, or again, you can just use the link in the description. There you can get access to polls which dictate which horror story I'll narrate next. You can get voice acting roles in the podcast, or you can get early access to these narrations so you can hear them before anyone else. Even if you donate just $1, it goes a long way in, keeping the lights on and making the show in higher quality. So thank you so much for anyone who decides to do that. And if you are interested in seeing some horror-related memes or just some minor updates, be sure to check out my Instagram page at childrenofthenight1. And be sure to tune in every single Friday for brand new episodes of the podcast. But until we see each other again, I want to say good night and sweet dreams to all my fellow children of the night.